Hi, I'm Liz. Now, some of you might have heard about the safari that is often a part of the frolic. It is usually done at about 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, and a bunch of us go out and take pictures of nature. Sometimes all we see is flowers and bugs and an occasional amphibian. Sometimes we see larger things like birds of different kinds. But we're out looking for nature. And I thought it might be interesting to give you a few tips about what you can do if you're out looking for nature. You don't have to take pictures of it, but you might just be curious how to get your eyes more in tune with what's out there. Because let's face it, right now we can be outside a lot better than we can be inside with other people. And so it's fun to take advantage of that. Now, one of the tools you might find when you are outside that will help you see things is a set of binoculars. I have this set, and if I look through these binoculars, I can see a lot further than I can see with my own eyes. So they're helpful, because when it comes to nature, and especially those bigger things like birds and little animals and things like that, we don't want to get too close. They're wild animals, and they need their space. So our best bet to see how they really act is to stay away from them and to observe. I use binoculars for that. Sometimes I use my camera because I have a good long lens on my camera. You will get to see more things and more things the more you start looking. And that's what I want to teach you to do, is to know some of the places and some of the tricks for looking so that you will see more and more of the world around you. Come with me. One trick I've learned is that it's important not to just look on the top of things, but to look under things as well if you're looking for nature. When I look under my deck, I found some nests. And the nests have little birds in them. Can you see the little birds in my nest? Those little birds are waiting for Mom or Dad to return with some worms. Now that's a pretty exciting thing when that happens. And I do have some pictures of that happening. But right now they're just waiting. Little baby birds are always hungry, so they're always just sitting there waiting for someone to come and feed them. If you have a little brother or sister, they might seem a little bit similar to that. It's kind of fun to see how nature is a little bit like people in the people world. Some people have a bird feeder in their backyard, and that is a way where you can watch nature come to you. The little bird at the feeder is a chipping sparrow. If you have a notebook, you can keep track of the birds that you have seen and where you saw them. You can use a resource like allaboutbirds.com or something like that. Oh, another chipping sparrow. And you can learn a lot of the bird species, and pretty soon you'll be recognizing birds that you didn't even know before, and you'll be seeing them everywhere. I have some bird cards I'm going to share with you guys so that you can get a start for recognizing different kinds of birds. Another trick for finding some nature around you is to, if you have a garden, to look in that garden. Because gardens are a great place for attracting birds and insects on those flowers or plants that you have. Now in my garden, I have some flowers and plants. Not all of my plants are blooming right now. But I also have a bird bath, and that attracts a lot of animals. Not just birds, but squirrels and other things too. And it's fun to watch them as they get a drink. It's also helpful for them to have a drink. Now, not everybody's going to have a bird bath, and not everybody's going to have a garden. Sometimes you might just have a potted plant, and you can watch that too, for the insects will come to that as well. Sometimes even a hummingbird. Now, if I look closely, I can see a little insect already on this plant. I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty tiny, but there is a little bitty bee on that flower. And if I watch carefully, there it goes to the center. It's going to try to get some nectar, and maybe it'll be a pollinator too, and take some of the pollen from that flower to another one. It's exciting to watch those little things. Out in the garden, you'll see signs of an animal having been in your garden that don't make you happy. I have several flowers that have been eaten off by either rabbits or squirrels, and as I look at this, these are irises. That's the name of the flower. But down here, I see that the roots of the iris, or the rhizomes as we call it, have been completely chewed up by some animal. I don't know who it was because I didn't see them, but you know what? We share this world with the animals, and they were here before my garden was. And so I have a hard time getting really mad at them for doing what they need to do to survive. Still, sometimes I look for plants that the animals don't like as well, and I put those in my garden so they don't get eaten. This is one of the times that I'm looking extra close to try to figure out what animals have been around my yard. And in the center of my screen here, I can see evidence that a rabbit has been here. It's actually a rabbit poop, that little round pellet there in the middle. But when we talk about animal poop, there's a cool word that we can use for it. It's called scat. So once you can identify the scat, you know the animal that's been to visit your yard, whether you saw them or not. When you're out looking for things in nature, sometimes it's obvious what you see, like flowers, and sometimes you have to look a lot closer to see something spectacular, like a little white crab spider on a flower. It's all about how closely you're looking. Of course, if you're looking for nature, sometimes you need to get out on a walk, and that is something that you can safely do during this COVID epidemic. Getting out for a walk is really good for you. If your family is ready for that, then you can get out and enjoy a nature trail, maybe a state park or some closer path that you can go on. Now, this park that I am at is close to my home, and it's got a nice private path here in the woods. I'm all by myself. I'm enjoying it. So I'm listening with my ears, and I can hear a lot of different bird song as I listen. And I can also see some birds hopping along the trail. The reason I wear a hat when I'm hiking is because I want my eyes to be protected from the sun, and that helps me be able to see more things. Even in the early morning, like when we go on our safari, when the sun is low in the sky, or in the evening, when the sun is again low in the sky as the sun is setting. I think it's a good idea to have a hat. It just helps me. That's another tool I have for when I'm hiking, so I can see more things. And that's all it's all about for me. I want to see as much as I can. I look closely at the little things like the plants, and I stay back from the big things like the wildlife. And that helps me to get a balance and to be able to observe the beautiful world that we have. Another important thing for you to know if you're out looking at nature is what plants to stay away from, because certain plants will, give you a bad reaction if you get in them. This one that I'm aimed at right now, that's called nettles, and it'll make your skin itch if you get into it. There are a lot of other plants out there, like wild parsnip, poison oak, poison ivy, all of which will get you a bad rash. So the best advice I have is stay on the path and don't touch things if you don't know what they are. Parsnip is another plant you should avoid. It looks like this. If you go in closer, you can see the way the flowers look on top of it. Yep, that one will hurt you, especially if you're in the sun. It seems to react more with your skin if it's a sunny day. My advice is never ever to eat a wild berry unless you have a grown-up telling you that it's safe to eat. The birds will eat the berries if you don't, but if you know and you have a grown-up there to tell you that it's safe, then you might want to eat them, but you could wash them off first. Well, that was fun. I saw a monarch landing on that milkweed. I wonder if it was laying some eggs. It's still flying around me. Oh, there it is again. Look at that beautiful monarch. It's so gorgeous. I love seeing things like that. When you come to a pond, it's important that you stop and listen and look. And like pretty much with everything in nature, if you wait and are patient, you will see so many things. I can hear right now a lot of red-winged blackbirds just chattering at me. If I look, I can see them in the tree too. There's one. They must have some nests around here. They're not happy with me walking around this area. But then again, they do like to make a lot of noise. And then there's other things in the water as well. I see a lot of dragonflies flying around. Dragonflies are cool because they eat mosquitoes, and that is awesome. Sometimes when you're out for an early morning on the pond, you end up finding something extra special, like this wood duck family that swam into my viewfinder. Aren't they beautiful? I don't see wood ducks too often on this pond, so it's exciting for me to see them. Here I am back in my yard again. I'm so glad to have had this time to share with you, to talk to you a little bit about nature and opening your eyes to seeing everything that's around you. You will not be disappointed if you start looking for all sorts of little and big things in the world around you and learning more about them. The world is a gift, and I believe that it's a gift that you can open today. Let's do it. Thanks for joining me.